Hey, good day, everybody. This is T Ray from H10 Hanshin Tigers English News. ようこそ皆さん、阪神タイガース English News へ T レイでございます。そして、隣に座っているのは、全然違うところにいるんですけど、サンジェイです。
アロハブラティレイ、アロハです。今、ホノルルハワイからお送りしております。まだこちらは2月の7日です。お元気ですか、皆さん。
Nighttime.
Nighttime.
Nighttime, there you go. Yeah, so we are recording this kind of on the heels of episode 165 of the pod itself, which will be coming out to you hopefully within the next 48 hours. But by the time you see this video, it may already be out. So please check that out as well. These videos kind of complement the show and yet are often on a completely separate topic. And so, as you saw from the top, I broke out a little bit of Japanese. And as you probably know, I speak Japanese. I'm not a native speaker by any means. Sanjay, though, Sanjay は自分がネイティブだと思ってるっていうか、そういうふうに考えてる？
いや、一応日本生まれ、日本育ちのハーフだから、とりあえずバイリンガルということで認識してます。
So you're bilingual because you're born and raised here in Japan. Yeah. For myself, my Japanese started at 0 at age 23. So I was a baby at age 23. And as well as a 23-year-old can pick up a language, I tried to do just that. So what I've been doing, especially through Hanshin Tigers English News, is reading a lot of Japanese, right? Like I read the books, I read the articles online. I subscribe to the Hanshin Tigers monthly magazine, all that good stuff. And then, when I can, I try to speak Japanese, but at the same time, like at home, I try to use English as much as I can because that helps my kids to learn English. Because if they don't get it from me, where are they going to get it? So sometimes my Japanese speaking opportunities are few. So I've actually created some for myself. And so I would just wanted to kind of introduce those on today's show because they are connected to Hanshin Tigers and they are somewhat connected to H10.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So, we got the good old dear old, right? The smartphone, the Apple smartphone. Doesn't have to be Apple, but many of you have got smartphones. And in Japan, there are a couple of kind of radio apps. They're not podcasts, they're not not quite radio, they're kind of in between. So you can record yourself live doing these programs, if you will, and talk as long or as short as you want. Not as long as you want, actually. You've got like a 30-minute limit. But if your show is listened to and if the people who are listening to it, enjoy it, they can actually send you what's called the encho chiketo. They can extend your time an extra 30 minutes, and that can be done to no end. And you can actually kind of stack these up. You can collect extension tickets, so you don't have to use them right away, and so you can kind of keep them in the bank. And then if you want to do like a 4-hour special, if you've got enough encho chiketo, you can just do like a 4-hour show. People can come and go
That's
as they
kind of
please.
interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, so people can come and go as they please. They just listen in. They can't speak, although I think you can invite guests on, so you can do like collaboration shows. But they can ask questions in the chat. So it's kind of like a live podcast in a sense. And then it's also available in archive for people to listen to.
But it's interactive if you're listening live.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're listening in archive, you can still send messages to the producer creator afterwards, and they'll receive those messages and they can address them in a new program or whatever they want to do with them, they can. You can also send there's like coins and little like stamps and stuff that you can send. But yeah, so there's two apps that I'm using actually right now. One of them is called standFM, like just the word stand and then space and then FM. I think there's a space. And the other one is called RadioTalk, RadioTalk. And I've decided to kind of create two platforms that are similar but different on them.
Okay.
So I'll explain it to you a little bit, and you can give me some feedback or tell me where I've gone wrong or give me some advice on what to do better.
Yeah, because I know so much.
Well, 一応日本人の心も持ってるから。
ちょっとだけね。はい。
そっか。Anyways, so we'll start with RadioTalk, right? So RadioTalk seems to me to be the main one, but I'm not really sure. But anyways, on Radio Talk right now, what I've been doing is I've been going through my old daily sports articles that I have been writing for the last 5 years. And I'm basically just reading the articles. It's like a narration, an audio book, if you
It's
will.
like an audiobook, yeah. The
In
author
my
is reading his piece, yeah.
Yeah, in my
That's
very
cool.
poorly my very poor Japanese, in the sense that, like, I'll stumble over words or I'll stop sometimes. But that's one of the features too of my program, is that I'll stop and explain some background, like why I said what I said, or, well, actually this part was written by the editor. I actually don't know that phrase, but they made me sound better than I am, or whatever. Like I kind of just lay it out. And I also give some extra background because, like we talked about with Fuji's translator, and I think in our previous show, right? Um,
Mhm.
I spoke to Fuji's translator for an hour and a half. I read an article that could be read in about 5 minutes, probably less, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Yeah. So, there's only so much that can go into it, and there's so much good that came out of that conversation. So during my Radio Talk, I'm actually giving some of that extra information that I can remember. And the kind of,
Nice.
maybe not twist, but what I'm doing is I haven't read these articles basically since I published them. And
Mm.
I started back in 2018, and I've been reading through my articles and just seeing them for the first time in like 4 years when I read them.
You know what? That's pretty wild. You've been doing this for that long. I
Oh,
for some reason I thought it was like a lot shorter than that.
hmm.
So kudos to you, man. You've done it. You've arrived.
I counted them up, man. 63 columns that I've written
Wow.
for daily sports. And so, yeah,
Good for
what I
you.
did was so I started at episode 1, if you will, or article 1, and I'm now on article 7. But the other day, when the Fuji translator Issei, when that article came out, I just read that one that day. So I skipped ahead to number 63 just for one. But yeah,
That was a good one though.
thanks. So yeah, like as I read it, I'm kind of evaluating too, like, was it a good article? Was it interesting? Or did I kind of skip over some parts and make it hard to understand, or what? Because, as you know from reading the English and Japanese versions, they are quite different. Um,
Mhm.
Sometimes they fill in the blanks well, or they spell things out well, sometimes maybe too well, sometimes not well enough. But I do my best to make sure that I keep my audience in mind as I write the pieces. Um, and so that the Japanese readers will understand things from my Canadian perspective, and my foreign audience, if you will understand things from a Japanese perspective a bit better. That's my
No,
kind of
I
goal.
think that between you and the editors, that's all being accomplished very well.
Hmm.
I do enjoy reading both versions only because they come from slightly different angles,
Hmm.
and yet they cover the same territory. So it's kind of like I'm getting in stereo.
Bilingual and in stereo.
Yeah, there you go.
So this. Mm. So I haven't really like gotten a huge audience from that just yet, from the Radio Talk, which is okay. Like, I don't even know if I ever will. But what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to try to get through all of my articles. I may not get through all of them by the start of the season, but once the season rolls around, I'm going to use the Radio Talk as my place to just talk about the game. So I may not do it every night, but after the game, when the game's done, I'll just bust out my phone and say, Kyo no shiai, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just kind of talk about some of the key moments or some of the things I was thinking,
Okay.
and see if I
Well, all
can.
right. So you got to put that information over here so we can figure it out.
So I may not subtitle it, but it will be in the video description for sure. Although I think it's much easier, it's much more accessible from the smartphone than it is from a
A
computer.
laptop or
Yeah,
PC. Yeah.
I don't even know if you can. So,いや、それがラジオトークです。で、日本人の皆さん、もし聞いてるのであれば、今話したことをちょっとだけね、さっとね、まとめて言います。ラジオトークでは、僕が書いているデイリースポーツオンラインのコラムを、音読しながら、その背景とか、その時思ったことと、今思っていることと、そのテーマについて、ちょっと話しながら、皆さんからの、質問とかコメントをも読んで、それに反応します。結構面白い時間になっているので、もし興味があれば、この動画の説明欄に、リンクとかを貼りますんで、ラジオトークで、トレバーのトロバーを探してください。So that is the first one. And the second one, as I said, is standFM. And standFM is it's a very similar app. I don't know. I still don't know the differences between the two because I'm just beginning on both of them, and they're both just they're learning experiences. But with standFM, I'm taking a bit of a step away from the Tigers partially on this one. It still is I think it's still just called Tirei no Channel, and it's still got the H10 logo as its mark. But on this one, I've divided it into 3 parts, and so I want to do 3 different things on this show, and I've really bitten off more than I can chew, and I already know that. But one
Okay.
one segment is about my life as a foreigner in Japan. So far, I've not touched on being a Hanshin Tigers fan yet on that segment of the show.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
so I talked about the different places I've lived or the different places I've worked, things like that. How I educated myself, how I learned Japanese, stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. And I feel like なんか日本人が例えば外国人の友達いるかもしれないんだけどね。その外国人の友達の、人生とか日本での経験とかどれだけ聞いてるのか、それがあんまりないのかなと思ってね。うまく日本語でそれを説明できる外国人って、いるのはいるんですけど、そんなにいないかなと。That's kind of how I feel.
そうかもしれないですね。
So, and for Japanese people who don't have foreign friends, they can listen in and be like, oh, this might be, and I'm not trying to represent all foreigners in Japan. That's impossible. But say like, oh, this is how a foreigner sees this aspect of Japan or has experienced this part of being Japan, whatever. So I feel like there's almost no end to being able to talk about that for part of the show. Then, I've got 2 more parts. Okay. So one other part is basically about language learning. How I learned Japanese, and I did like a very broad look at that already, but then also looking at specifics. So here are some ways that I picked up Japanese. I might take one specific way that I did it and then explain how people could use that to learn English. 私の、日本語を学ぶ、経験、そして、方法とかを一つ一つ説明して、皆さんがそれを英語に適用できるようにしたいなと思ってます。That's part 2. Then part 3 is Tigers related. And I think that's the part that I enjoy doing the most. I still haven't really dug into it, but I want to talk about how I have met various Hanshin Tigers former players and I guess current players as well. Some of the background stories.
That should probably be definitely worth tuning into.
I was thinking of turning that into a YouTube sub channel, but I just decided to go a different way with that, at least for the time being. はい。日本語で説明します。で、3つ目のコーナーですかは、僕がこれまで出会った阪神タイガースの OB 選手、その経緯だとかきっかけだとか、ちょっとした裏話っていうかね、はい。まだ公開してない情報になります。
これ面白そうだと私はすごい思います。
僕も面白いかなと思って、このコーナーを一応作ったんで、はい。僕が今まで出会ったっていうか、関わった日本人じゃない、阪神タイガース選手は、現在ね、19名になってますね。主にはですね、僕がファンになってからの、名前が多いんですけどね。で、OB だと4人ぐらいですかね。5人か。僕がファンになる前の、7人です。で、はい。どんどん
増えていくよ。
そうです。あと、日本人選手も5人。OB ですね。日本人は5人です。阪神タイガースに関して。で、日本でプロ野球選手は、あと9人います。他球団の選手ですね。OB。なので、そのコーナーは結構長くできそうな気がします。もちろん、一つの、なんていうんですか、魅力っていうかね、皆さんがその選手について、その人について、いろいろ質問できるコーナーになってるんですよね。ラジオトークとかスタンド FM だったら。You can ask questions as I'm talking, and I might be able to answer your questions about these guys, which I think is kind of cool.
It sounds good.
So, but you and I have something else that we kind of want to challenge or try in 2023, correct?
どうぞ。
So that is also, we'll probably be mainly using our smartphones to do this, but using an app called Anchor. Is that right? I've already forgotten. Anchor,
It's
right?
Anchor, yes.
Yeah, Anchor. It's a really easy way to record a podcast just using your smartphone, just online with someone else. You can meet up together and record something. So myself and Sanjay, 私たちは日本語で阪神タイガーストークをしたいと思っています。We're going to try to do, and I won't talk like that the whole time, don't worry. 日本語でですね、
頼むよ。
阪神タイガースイングリッシュニュース日本語版ですね。ちょっとイングリッシュニュース日本語になるんですけど、はい、それに挑戦したいなと思ってます。言ったように、サンジェは日本生まれ育ちで、日本語は普通に喋れる。で、僕はもちろん完璧じゃないけど、日本語を喋れる。合わせて、日本語ができる2人。でも、海外のマインドセットも持っている2人。で、阪神をこよなく愛している2人ですから。今までない番組になるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
ちょっと皆さんの今までの見てるやつと違った切り口になることを期待しながら展開してみます。
そうやね。そう。で、どんな内容になるかってまだ決まってはいないし、まだその話はしてないっけ？してないよね。具体的なというか。
もうぶっつけ本番でいきましょ
う。そうやね。はい。今からじゃないよね。
でもいいよ。
もう少ししたらそれを始めようかなと考えてます。おそらく3月ぐらいからもうしっかりしたものになると思うんで。で、そのポッドキャストがですね、アンカーから、自動的にいろんなそのポッドキャッチャーっていうんですか、Apple Podcast とか、Google Podcast、Spotify、それぞれに自動的に行くわけですから。それを探せば出てくるはずです。There you go. That's the big drop. It's spring. We're excited for Hanshin Tigers baseball, aren't we, Sanjay?
Like you won't believe, especially this year because we have all the horses we need.
Yes. All required elements. All required elements. あれ? There you go. That's what it is. So, yeah, had to think really frantically for that one, but there you have it. Everyone, we are going to leave you now, but it has been fun chatting. So subscribe to the channel. We are coming up on 1,000 subscribers real soon. Hopefully this season we will get there and we'll be able to produce even better stuff in the future. Thanks for joining us today. Sanjay, 楽しかったね。
今年がすごい楽しみです。
あれやね。
あれや。
Yeah. See you guys.